And we are officially live. What's up, everybody? I'm here today with Garrett J. White. Garrett, how are you feeling?
I just love that in 8 years of our romantic relationship, my letter J is finally become respected around here. First 6 years, not respected. I proved myself. We finally get to put the J in there.
Finally get the J. It's funny because people don't know this, but you actually messaged me because I wrote your name in one of the books and I didn't have the J. And you're like, next edition, put the J in. Yeah. And so now with my team, I'm like, always put the J. And so, yeah, it's there. And it's amazing. And by the way, you look like 20 years younger right now. I don't know if it's because of the beard or the face or you just had another baby. I don't know what it is, but you look great, man. So how you feeling?
I'll give you 5 reasons. You ready for the 5? 5 reasons. Literally, I went backwards in time in the last. Number 1, got a vasectomy and we're done with the baby. So the stress of having another one is like over. So that's good. Number 2, my wife had me start getting Botox, which was super weird. I was like, this is dumb. And I was like, okay, I can see where we're going with this. Number 3, I started experiencing deep connection inside of plant medicine, which altered a lot of past trauma for me and my soul with some heavy stuff when I was a kid. And number 4, I guess there's only 4. You ready for the big one? 95% less alcohol consumption in the last 5 months.
Nice.
Yeah, I swear. So I don't know. I think the last one probably has the biggest impact. So thank you. And also I shaved the grandpa beard. So, we don't got any Santa Claus white beard. So that was probably number 5. There's number 5.
Dye the beard to shave it. Well, I'm pumped to be here with you, man. As people watching probably know, we are right now introducing the speakers for Fun Live over the last couple of weeks. And I'm excited because you are the only person besides me and Todd Dickerson who've spoken to every Fun Live. And so, in fact, a lot of people don't know this yet. This is the first time I've ever teased this, but we're putting together a book right now with all your presentations. You've seen it. So it's like, there's something amazing that's been happening, and I'm excited for this upcoming year. But want to tell people about kind of your journey in this whole game that we're playing?
Yes. So like the topic that you actually every year Russell reaches out to me to say, hey, we want to play. And I was like, dude, of course I'd love to play. And then has kind of a theme, like God kind of pours into Russell with a vision for where this goes. It's amazing to watch him orchestrate all the speakers and the content and line up this series of divine dominoes to ultimately accomplish this incredible outcome, which happens every single year. If you haven't been in person, if you only participated virtually, I can promise you the experience virtually is powerful. It's nice, but it's not going to compete to anything that you would do in person. So if you haven't gotten your tickets, do it, because lining these dominoes up, I get the privilege of being at the end of the line of the dominoes. I'm like the cleanup hitter, which is I come in and make sure that if there was anything that you didn't get or didn't get figured out, that we get it figured out. And if there was any seeds that are still sitting on the surface of the soil, we'll just make sure those are deep in your soul with a shovel to the face if necessary. So but the topic that you gave me this year was with the idea that you can still progress, you can still lead and not be perfect. Mm-hmm. Right. Which was interesting when you reached out to me about that, because every year it's like kind of a different topic. And I realize I always surprise you with what I show up as. And every year I'm always surprised too. I'm like, okay, here we go. Here's a new version. But that was kind of the first topic. What sparked that for you? Like this idea of seeing progress, but not being perfect at all, yet continuing to progress. What were you feeling in that?
The reason why, and I'm kind of mentioned, like right now I'm working on this book project for you that you don't even know really all that's happening, but I've been going through the last 7 Fun Lives and your presentations. And it's fascinating because part of, I wrote the forward to it last night. I was like, every year there's like a little segment of the people that are super offended and the rest have the biggest breakthrough of their entire lives. And it's like that kind of consistently has happened every year. Yeah. Last year was definitely different than years prior. But as I was going through, it was fascinating because 7 years ago, I was listening to your message. You're talking about having it all, and you were going deep into this thing. And the next year, you were talking. You're like, "This is what I learned from last year to this year, and like how I evolved as a human, and as a married businessman, and as a husband and a spouse." And the next year, and I watched as like every year, you personally, how much you had transformed in your business, your life, your marriage, your family, and it kept happening. And I was like, man. And then last year was like this whole new evolution. You came out in white, and you were talking about God and about Jesus, and like all these things. And it was like so fascinating watching this because I was like, man, if Garrett would have waited till he was here today to give this message, he never would have gotten here today to give this message. It was because of the progression and the evolution and like putting yourself out there when you didn't know all the answers, you weren't prepared all the time, but you were there showing up, listening to the voice, following through with it and doing what you're supposed to do at the time. And by doing that is what made you worthy and prepared for this. and will make you worthy for the next thing. And whatever's gonna happen in 5 years from now, and 10 years from now, I think most people are sitting back on the sidelines waiting till like they're ready. It's like, that's not how the game's played. The game is played because you become ready by getting out there on the field and actually playing. And I'd been watching it in such a deep level because I'm editing transcripts and watching the videos again and seeing the evolution in real time. And that's what I wanted to have you talk about, because I think so many people are just waiting. This time
we watch this happening. Like, I see this is nearly every conversation I get into. And the wild part is, even some of the speakers coming that are speaking on cleanup day and prior to, I have been in intimate situations with in the last month. And the crazy part is, when no one's watching, there's no cameras on, the common theme continues at every level, which is a deep sense of God has got a calling over my life, but who am I to do this? Mm-hmm. So you'll have guys, people right now, many of you watching this, there are people who have multiple millions upon millions of followers on social media, who you would look at them and think these guys have it figured out. And yet, if you sit behind closed doors with them, the same thing is, which is they've got some things figured out, but the next calling God has on their life, they're nervous about. They're like, I don't know if I can do it. This. Who am I to do this? Yet this was like a feeling I had back 13 years ago. The first video was launched for Wake Up Warrior 10 years ago. That was prior to ClickFunnels. And I was just going with what I had, but I was terrified. And this is the theme that I watch, particularly people who come to ClickFunnels, people who are in Funnel Hacking Live, people who are in the room at the event. There is a spirit and a soul that comes through Russell, it comes through Todd, and it comes through the men and women that they put on stage. Some of that is logical muscle, like there's a soul to like technically how to do things. But then more than that, that there is an energy, and I would have you consider it's God's spirit that just pours through this facility physically in the hallways around people. And even you watching this video, some of you watching this are going to feel this intensity. And there's this rising sense of, I need to go. This rising sense of, I must be in the room. I would encourage you follow that immediately, number one. Number two, it's normal to feel inadequate at every level. Mm-hmm. And there's a science to actually compelling yourself to move forward. Because when you asked me, I was like, well, why has it I've been able to do that? How is it when my marriage in 2000, people don't know this, in 2016, thank you to Tony Robbins, in 2016, Danielle and I had told everyone publicly about Wake Up Warrior. I'd been running Warrior for 4 years. We had helped thousands of men. I had made millions of dollars in doing it. Now on the platform at ClickFunnels, moving forward, I had spoken at ClickFunnels already at this time, I believe once, maybe twice. And Danielle and I had our head-on collision, and it was do or die for the third time in our marriage. And people are like, how can you be the guy teaching men how to have it all when your own marriage almost ended in 2016? And there were two interesting pieces with this, which is there was a calling on my life to prove that having it all was possible. And my marriage was at 80%. And I told the guys, I said, I'm willing to do whatever's required. God's put this calling on my life to prove that this is possible. And either Danielle and I are going to figure this out or we're not. And thank God, Tony Robbins, who gave me tickets to come to Date with Destiny. And two of his sons and one of his financial advisors and coaches were in Warrior at the time. And I went. And Danielle and I got on the same page, and Danielle grew and I grew, and we continue to grow. And now fast forward 2022, our marriage, it's like impossible. Yet every stage along the way, there's been this moment where God's like, I need you to let go again. And you're like,
but I don't want to.
I mean, you have to relate to this, particularly with the projects, Russell, that you're being called into right now. I mean, you had a massive opportunity with the software, and you guys chose to let go of what would have been a simple path, and you playing soccer in the backyard for the next 50 years and have no responsibility to anybody. And you chose this path. I mean, you've lived this too.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think, there's choices now. Like 5 years ago, I'm like, oh, of course I would have done that. And you get there and it's like, hey, this is do or die. What do you do? And logically, you're like, this is all makes total sense. And there's this tug, there's this pull. It's like, but you're called for something better. And it's like, but I'm tired. And it's like, yeah, but you're called for something bigger. Let's keep going. And so I think that's a big thing. And I'm sure the people watching this, like, you've all felt that. There's only reason why you're following me or Garrett on Facebook or wherever you're watching this thing at is because you felt that call to contribution. Like, I should be doing more. I should be doing something. And like, maybe you don't know what to do, or you're doing something. You're like, I need to be doing this at a bigger level. And the biggest thing is just getting the skill sets, increasing your capacity to where you can handle it. I don't know about you, but the stresses that I have on a daily basis today, if I were handed these stresses 6, 7 years ago, they would have crushed me. But like, we increase our capacity, and then God can give us more, and then we increase our capacity and gives us more. And then there's times where I think we test you, like, hey, you have it out if you want it. And it's like, do you want it? Like, I do. Yeah. But like, there's something there. I don't know what it is, but I got to keep going. And so
there's many of you listening with what Russell just said. I want you to hear what he just said. God gives you an out. This is the craziest part about calling. 90% of the men and women that come to ClickFunnels, that join us at Funnel Hacking Live, are men and women who feel called. Like many of you watching right now in the chat, you know this. Put it in the live chat. Called. Just type in the word called if you feel called, because this has been my experience in coming to ClickFunnels. That's why people are like, well, it's software. I'm like, it's not software. Like, it's software. And on top of that, you could even blend this to the topic of salvation. People are like, well, now is this religious? Like, no. It is literal rebirth for human beings. It is the energy around the software that transformed my wife, have my wife believe in funnels, have my wife liberate and launch her 8-figure movement. It was the same messaging and energy. But here's the crazy part. God's giving you an out right now. But you can look at it from two ways. Your out is, I'm going to ignore what I'm feeling. And I'm going to do what I always do, which is I'm going to ignore what I'm feeling. I'm going to stay in the path that is easy, logical. Or I'm going to let go and I'm going to go. And in this case, you're going to go to Funnel Hacking Live. And when you get there, one of the things I'm going to show you is I'm going to walk you through. I got a little bit longer time this year. After 8 years, they've proven I deserve a little more time. So I got a little more time, which is great, which means I got time to break down. I'm going to take the key critical moments in which there was an acceleration point between idea to first million, and the key points that change there, and how you can duplicate the exact same points from 0 to $1 million. I know I can't make promises income, so I'm going to stop talking about money at all right now, because I realize what Brad filter that out. But I'll tell you, there's a process to choosing to go when God says go. It's far more scientific than it is just a feeling. That's why Russell and myself and others, you see Alex Hormozi and Ed Milet, and you see these individuals who continue to rise and build. It's because they've exercised the muscles of being able to hear God's voice and at the same time be able to close the gap between hearing revelation and acting on revelation. And that's all I was doing for 10, 12 years. But because you asked me the question, I was like, well, what did I do? What exactly was it? Just like you going back and trying to figure stuff out. And I was like, oh, wow. Just like Natural Beaded Rose, my wife's hair extension brand, my wife said, it's impossible. No woman will ever no hairstylist will be able to do it. It's all in my head. I said, well, let's pretend for a second it's not just in your head. Let's pretend that there's a science behind this, 90% and 10% art. And so I considered that, and she did, and it launched this massive movement with thousands of salons across the United States and impacted thousands of hairstylists and tens of thousands of clients and customers, and made my wife tens of millions of dollars. We came back into that same place, and I thought, I want to give the best thing I've ever given at Funnel Hacking Live, because I want to not just bring fire. I want to give you the exact psychological framework and tool that I have been using, and the step-by-step process, like my wife with MBR. How do I keep saying yes at the pivot in the road when God has called me to more? And what you saw on stage last year was rebirth. What you're going to see this year is revival. And you'll experience what revival past rebirth looks like, which is a practical step-by-step. How do I continue to follow God's voice in my life? And don't fool yourself. I meet you on stage. I meet people in social media. I meet people all over the place now who are connected to the ClickFunnels community, and all over in different countries, Russell. I've been in Mexico, Canada. I've been like Central America, Costa Rica. I've seen people come up to me, bro, with ClickFunnels, Funnel Hacker. I'm in the community. I'm talking about awesome. I love your presentation. And the conversation is the same every time. I know I'm supposed to go. Like, I know what I'm supposed to do. How do I get over the fear of going? And I can promise you that roughly just under 2 hours, hour and a half or so that I have, that I'll be the culminating piece, sitting back and coming to this whole event this time. Let's be the first one to be the whole time watching, so I can mold what it is I'm doing at the end to match and meet what you're up to and what you're needing based on being there.
So excited, man. And you know, we are 49 days away from Funnel Hacking Live starting. It is coming, like, and we've got like close to 5,000 funnel hackers who are already registered. If you haven't got your tickets yet, here's the pitch. The call to action is go get your tickets. Like, it's simple. Every single year we sell out. We will sell out this year again. And we are close to being sold out anyway. But if you guys don't have your tickets yet, you got to go to funnelhackinglive.com to get it. Now, I know you also, I asked you before if you want to throw in like a speaker bonus to get people to push them over the edge. Do you got something cool that'll help those who are on the fence thinking about, should I come or not? Like, what do you got for them?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have, I have a product that we created. It was actually a live 3-day, $10,000 ticket event called Big Money Marketer. It was the only time I ran a marketing seduction class, which was working through the science and the psychology about persuasion through a funnel. It was internal for our students at Wake Up Warrior and DKW Styling, all of our artists. We took that, we packaged up into this home study course. We've been selling that for $5,000, just under $4,997. We've been selling that since 2018, which I think is when we did, possibly 19. We've been selling those every single month to individuals, internal inside of our networks. And Miles reached out to me to say, bro, what do you want to put on the bonus? I was like, we've always done this one course. It's in there. It's been there for years. I look at my team. I was sitting in me this morning. How about we just give them Big Money Marketer? That in and of itself, just for investing in the ticket, even, if you didn't do anything else, just that one course alone, easily worth it. This is not like we made up a price tag on it. We sell this all the time, internal, every month. And for those that act on getting your tickets and joining us, myself and Russell and the rest of the crew here in this amazing tribe of people at Funnel Hacking Live, I'd love you to have that gift from us. And they'll give you instructions on how to get that once you've gotten your ticket here following today's interview.
Dang, dude, that's amazing. I'm gonna go buy a ticket myself so I can get that. So cool. Well, man, it's so good to seeing you again and talking to you. I cannot wait to be hanging out in like less than 2 months from now at Funnel Hacking Live, which would be crazy. All you guys get your tickets. The party's happening. You don't want to miss Garrett. Again, only person besides me who's spoken every single FHL. There's a reason. He's coming in the last day to blow your guys' mind. So do not miss it. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. And so many cool things coming up. So
thank you, man. I look forward to seeing all of you there. Head to funnelhackinglive.com. Get your ticket today. I promise you, there are very few events in this country that will impact you like coming here. This is one of the must-go-tos. Pick your ticket up today. Look forward to seeing you, shaking your hand, giving you a hug, and blowing a little fire down your direction with Russell over 5 days at funnelhackinglive.com.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you guys at the event. Bye, everyone.